Still feeling that music.
We did it.
Got the intro.
Oh, that's a dope intro, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Let me say, this is the most precise start time we've done like since we started.
Yeah.
Man, you know.
I don't even know. Yeah. We did you know. I'm shocked we on time, but you know.
How'd that even happen?
Oh, it happened because we've been talking about it for like 2 weeks.
Shit, feel like 2 months. 2 weeks,
you know.
Nah, but you know, we made it. We made it on time.
Yeah.
It's good.
Y'all been all right?
Yeah. Everything, you know. I think everybody's been you know, part happy, part mad, part whole range of emotions, man, going through people at this point in time right now, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, all type of things jumping off.
How do y'all deal with that? How have you all been, you know, just dealing with all the changes in the world? What's up with you guys?
You dive in first there, Charles. Chuck.
I know Charles. I've been on his Facebook page. I'm happy.
Yeah, I mean, yo,
I tried to say I'm still unaffected.
Hey, I mean, you know what it is? It's not that I'm unaffected, kid, because I mean everything is tied into everything, you know, and you know, obviously people have feelings about things, whether they're directly or indirectly affected or not. But you know, I just look at it like, you know, it is, and I don't think it's just like vaccine mandates. I think like, yo, if you go from like Obama's election, 8 years of that, then Trump, now this vaccine is just like, yo, the divide in the country is getting crazy. And you know what's the sad part though with the vaccine mandates is that, like, you know, Obama's election divided like maybe like whites and blacks a little bit, and then Trump's, you know, kind of white and blacks and certain things, you know, with that. But like this type of stuff right here is becoming like inner divide, man. It's like dividing black communities. It's not even just dividing us against them, so to speak. It's dividing like, you know, friends and black community, you know, where you know, say Trump, it made you look at some of your white friends differently. You know, there's stuff going on now, man. It's like dividing like friends, like people, you know, you grew up with, you know, like people that you know in real life off of social media, you know what I mean? And it's just getting crazy, man. You know, it's just getting real crazy, you know. And you know, I think that, you know, like just need to pause. Yo, you know, I mean, I think for a minute, man, dude, everybody just need to pause, man, and you know, understand that, yo, we just all ain't gonna agree on the same things. We ain't gonna all agree on a course of action, but ultimately, you know, like our main objectives are really should be like unchanged, which is the betterment of us and our people and our situation. You know what I mean? And one thing shouldn't, you know, divide it. You know what I mean? To the level that it's doing. You know what I mean? And it's like, and I mean, like everywhere from my job, dude. And my job, yo, my job is arguing over vaccines, and we don't even got forced vaccines, man. And even though we city government employees, it's not even mandated. Wow. You know, and it's still a divide, and it's like it's just. I feel like you know, we're taking on a lot of stress being taken on with that, man. You know what I'm saying? And you know, we just got to find a way to kind of like get past that point. You know what I'm saying? Whether a person has taken a vaccine or not taking a vaccine, we still got to find a way to get past the point of it being an argument between us. You know what I mean? I like, you know, that shouldn't be something that's ended friendships and thing, because one day it's going to be over, okay, whether you got the vaccine or not, and we're going to all go back to a life that we kind of, semi-normal that we had before, hopefully, and it's like when that time come and you look around you, man, it's going to be kind of messed up not to have some of the people and friends around you because y'all got divided over an issue that really shouldn't have came to that level. You know what I mean?
Facts.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like everything else, though. It's like all the political stuff that went on, everything. I mean, everybody taking this real personal, and even to that point, I mean, part of that conversation, I think, has to do with that other stuff that's popped up in the news now, like how much social media, like Facebook, Instagram, and everything is playing a part of kind of instigating those arguments. I don't know if you can call it, because everybody, people know what they're doing, but they do it with the
it's like you stirring the pot.
Yeah, that's what the intent is. Like, and I kind of I think I read or saw something like a long time ago that spoke to. Maybe it was one of those documentary things or something that came on, but they were really talking about the intent. I think, Charles, you said you saw it before, how they were really talking about the intent behind social media and just to keep people online at any cost. And it's really done so for, like, okay, you see this one post, all right, we got our algorithms that strategically takes this one, and let me go nudge this other person right here, because I know that's gonna be a sticking point for them as soon as they see it. But there's an intent behind that stuff, which is crazy, and it just it's all geared toward marketing dollars and sales and stuff like that, and nobody really thinks about it, because Facebook, Instagram, everything is free, right? But it's free at a cost, right? It's all that stuff we give up. So everybody digging into your personal stuff, dissecting who you are, what you're doing, what you like, what you dislike, all of that stuff, right? And somebody's watching it, like a psychologist, and they're like, all right, we get money off of this, and that's what's happening, man. And we all playing victim. That's why, like, even when I post certain things, and I put something up, somebody starts just going left with it, I just say, all right, good talking to you. That's it. I just leave it alone, man. I'm gonna try to dig too deep into it. Not unless you're having like an intelligent conversation back and forth, because I don't want to bother with that online, man.
Yeah. You guys think that some of the mandates and all this other stuff are showing what some people might have been thinking and feeling about one another long before, and just the stress levels that people are experiencing all across the board is just bringing out, I guess, the worst in some people?
I mean, to some degree, you probably have that, but to some degree, man, it's like, I think it's just that, I don't know, man. Like, I mean, obviously, maybe some people definitely had harbored certain type of feelings, and they're using this as an excuse to come out with it, but I think a lot of people, man, just are just under stress, man, and unfortunately, like, as humans, man, a lot of us just aren't good at handling stress. You know what I'm saying? Not good at handling, like, differences of opinions and a whole bunch of different other things, man. And it's I mean, it's just crazy, I mean, when you factor in the whole element of it, like, people being put in a position of potentially having to lose their income and their livelihood, and I mean, like, no matter where you stand on that, I mean, as a human being with any type of empathy, and you, like, who can literally applaud, whether, like, you want somebody, you know what I'm saying? Like, even if you are for the vaccines, like, but how could you, like, want somebody to be unemployed and potentially lose their thing? And, but the unfortunate reality that I think we just have to accept is that, like, yo, we just being put in a position. And you know what else is hard to accept? That, like, yo, there's just people out there, man, that to some degree, man, like, things like this show how much control other entities and other things have over us that we don't like to accept and we don't like to deal with. Like, how can somebody force me to do something, and then they coming through with laws and court cases and, like, yo, this is how I'm going to force you to do it. And if you don't like it, this is what I'm going to do to you. And even if you take that away from vaccines, who the hell likes to be put in that position? You know what I'm saying? Like you can't, nobody wants to be put in that position where you're going to either do as I say or else. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody wants to be put in that position, you know.
And see, let me jump in there because I know, like, and this is something I got to tap you on, like, a little bit. I mean, like, tap this, because I know, like, even your position on this can be taken kind of like touchy, because like you were kind of like, you might have been quick to say, like, you know, people in those positions, in the healthcare positions, or the, what did they put in the medical field, and what was the other field? Oh, teachers and stuff like that. It's like, yo, you know, I know you made the comment, like, yo, you got a choice, right? And that's almost like insulting to some people. It's like, yo, like, how you gonna tell me I got a choice between my livelihood and my morals? Like, you know what I mean? So, like, literally, like, yeah, you have the choice in so much as you can choose yes or no, but you know, but that's not, you know, like you just said, like, it's a position that nobody ever wants to be put in. They didn't see themselves as being put in. Like, from the president down, it says, like, yo, there's no intent to do this, and then you put on the line with that. Like, so that's a hard pill to swallow. Like, when people even respond.
Oh, most definitely. But at the end of the day, even if it may sound a little insensitive, and that, you know, that's not the feeling I'm trying to portray, but the bottom line is, like, we can go back and forth all day. Like, all of us have been in positions to make some hard choices in life, right? I know I have, and I'm sure that everyone else has at some point or another. So, me personally, I don't want to see nobody lose their job. That's my personal empathetic feeling. But my realistic feeling is that this is what they're going forward with. So I can go back and forth with you about it for 10 hours on social media. I can argue, we can lose our friendship over it, or we can figure out what are we going to try to do other than argue about it on social media to try to not make this situation, because I don't personally care if a person is vaccinated or not. Like, I don't want nobody to lose their job, you know, and I know that that's a tough position to be in. But me to keep telling you, Mike, they're gonna fire you, you're gonna get the vaccine. How many times do you want to just keep me telling you, like, yo, Mike, that's fucked up, man. Damn, Mike, that's fucked up, man. Yo, damn, Mike, that's fucked up. At some point, it's like, all right, but what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? You know what I'm saying? How are we gonna do it? This why when I posted online, I said, yo, the same way they just signed a bill in Texas to remove mandates. Now, whether that's gonna be able to withstand the law or whatever, that's to be seen. But New York has a bill like that also pending in front of the assembly. And I posted that online for people that want to get that. This is something you can look into, try to attach. How many people read it on my page? Who knows? How many people looked in it? Who knows? But I'm sure that more people just continued to argue about it on Facebook than looked at even something that potentially can bring forth a solution. I seen some nurses say, yo, you know what? I'm not getting the vaccine. Yo, we selling our shit. We moving to Florida because I got a license to practice down there. Now, you don't want to have to do that, but that's a solution to your problem, because unless you get this mandate overturned, which presently, from what I'm reading, the law is not really on their side to get it overturned, then you're going to have to either find a way to sway the Supreme Court, sway the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, which controls New York, or you're going to have to make alternative plans. Like, yo, I might have to go teach somewhere else. I might have to. And do you want to be put in that position? No, of course not. You've made a home here. It's a tough position to be in. But if you don't make some type of choice, that's a progressive movement to eliminate that situation from you, because you can't really control political agendas, kid. So, but you could control your choices. So it's a rough choice, and it's some rough consequences to accept. But at some point, you're going to have to deal with that reality and make moves to overcome it. And that's my whole point. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, what are you going to do? I'm vaccinated and I don't want you to lose your job. You're unvaccinated and you don't want to lose your job. So we both don't want you to lose your job. So you want to talk about how fucked up it is for the next 6 weeks, or are we going to try to find out what we could do?
I mean, but I think that's what people. I think people were. You may see it, and part of it is like just talking and arguing the case online and stuff like that. But the other side, the other reality of it is like people scrambling for answers because they're being faced with stuff like they have no clue on how to deal with it, and it hasn't really changed. Like it's still like a day by day thing. Where they think about this, right? They push through with like medical stuff. Medical mandates, educational mandates for students, teachers, and whatever else, right? But there was nothing said in like the mass media and something like that about the exemptions or the exclusions or exemptions to this stuff, right? All that communication happened on social media, as far as I know, right? And so some people started following through with that, through the communication. So, I mean, to that end.
No, but that's what they was really challenging. That's what the nurses was challenging, because the governor of New York, when she came in, Cuomo issued the mandate, but they were refusing to allow medical exemptions and religious exemptions.
Right. Well, yeah, but yeah. So when in real practice, when for individual hospitals and schools and things like that, a lot of organizations put together says, okay, this is the mandate. And then quietly to the side, this is okay. But then there are these medical and personal exemptions that you can do. Like they didn't want to advertise that, but they still were there. Right. And I know that from seeing, some instances myself as well. But again.
No, but people knew. See, that's what I don't buy, that people didn't know, because people know, because that's literally what the lawsuit was about. So the lawsuit,
lawsuit where?
But the lawsuit was literally challenging that.
He's speaking about the nuances. He's also speaking about the narratives. When you're only speaking about one thing, like if you look at mainstream media, you're only getting one thing. And then when you end up either through the internet or whatever else, you start seeing all of these other variables, and then you start seeing all of these things that are happening in these different states where they're like, no, we're not doing that. Even to the point that they said, all that talk that Biden did, none of that stuff was binding or anything. None of it, it was fluff. Listen, I'm neither here nor there. I would like to read what Letitia wrote, if y'all don't mind. She said, it's not just losing your job. It's taking away the ability to enjoy a meal or a movie in the theater. This is the new normal. The past is the past. How do we navigate are the solutions I've been looking for? And I think that's what you were speaking to, Charles, a second ago, as far as like, okay, like you're here.
But that's what, like, when we first started, I told Mike, I said, so first it comes from, we have to have a realistic understanding of the situation, right? So now, do you feel a certain way, right? Do you feel a certain way that you can't go to a movie theater or a show or concert in New York City, right? Yes, everybody feels a certain way. But now, when I attack that, the first thing I have to understand is I have no protected constitutional right to go to nobody's restaurant. I have the freedom. And this is what I explained before. Freedoms are not rights. So I have the freedom to go in any restaurant in New York City, and they can't discriminate against me by any of the constitutionally protected class. I have no constitutional right to go to a concert, a Broadway show, or anything. So now I don't like this new restriction on me. So what am I gonna do? And in the time being, like I said to you, Mike, I said, you live in Westchester. We don't even live in the city. So the city mandate of you not going into the restaurant, outside of you feeling that it's messed up, you could go to any other restaurant in Westchester. And it's messed up. I agree. It's messed up that this freedom is being restricted. But there's a solution. You don't have to go to New York City.
Well, technically, there's a little gray line on that one.
Let me speak to this really quick. Yeah. A little earlier, Mike was also explaining how New York now becomes sort of the first bullet. And then once that bullet is fired, other states in theory would fire behind. I'm paying attention really closely to what's happening, well, I'm trying to, with LA. And, you know, they're talking about all these mandates, but they're not talking about the thousands of people who pulled their children out of school, literally. Oh, y'all want to do that? Pull them right out. Because a lot of people are I think, for me, when I look at the people's reactions to it, it's not even just the mandates and what's being restricted, but it's the blatant disregard for all of the variables that could still help us to be able to live autonomously amongst one another without necessarily getting each other sick. And I have learned in the last 6 weeks of my life, there's no reason to argue with anybody at this point because, you know, it's just those lines have been drawn. But I tell people, don't ignore the variables. Because when we first started doing this, you know, this live, you know, pretty much everything was so new. So we were able to keep up with everything. And, you know, we were having these conversations. But all of those conversations still have a relevance into today. You know, you don't hear anybody talking about immunity or natural immunity. You don't hear anybody talking about antibodies. You don't hear anybody talking about health. It's just a one shot, you know, get the vaccine or nothing, period. It's like, get the vaccine or nothing. And now you got some doctors that are like, nah, there's actually some things that we could do that could sort of help us, you know, help us with this situation. And I think a lot of us have had a serious learning curve, and even the learning curve is ignored at this point, in my opinion. I mean, you know.
No, but I mean, if you look, they have been speaking about that they're not even sure. So this is what I'm saying. They've actually been speaking about that even if you get the vaccine, they're not sure how long the antibodies are lasting.
6 months.
Yeah. So estimate. So, but that's so even with, like, I know people that had COVID that didn't take the vaccine that was still showing antibodies for them. But each person who were testing had different, what they couldn't determine is how much antibodies you had, how protective those antibodies were. Mm-hmm. So I don't think the conversation's been just totally eliminated. I think, and not saying you personally, I think with people,
my brother,
I think with people that they feel conversations are limited or not being had because maybe the source where they're getting the information is not speaking about that, or people are just looking for confirmation, what I call confirmation bias. If you're only searching for something that validates your position and point, then you're not going to see that. You know, just like when we was exchanging those reports, mm-hmm. A lot of things in those reports, right? I sent you some, you sent me some. Mm-hmm. A lot of things in those reports that is coming out now, mm-hmm. We're talking about with the heart conditions and the kids and everything. Those was in those reports last year.
Time out. But you what you're doing, and you know, I think it's important we keep this thing at a real wide angle. What you're doing is sort of taking away what was initially said, which was the mainstream media is not reporting this stuff. The mainstream, what you're speaking, you're like a researcher. So even talking to you is a little bit like, it's unfair because you literally don't have a problem reading a ton of things. And you sent me some stuff. I was like, well, damn, well, you know, it was overwhelming. I told you, I was like, dude, I don't even have the time. I don't even know how you find the time. You told me how you do it. I was like, that's dope. I was like, yo, bro, like, how are you reading? And you were really reading all this stuff. I'm like, man, this is like a thesis, you know? But what I'm saying and what Mike had alluded to earlier was, for what is coming out now, you're like, oh, it was documented then. Yeah, I was the one who sent you the redacted information, and some of that stuff had been documented. You don't hear the mainstream media talking about that stuff. You don't ever hear the counterbalance. Is this my thing acting up again?
No, you sound fine over here.
Oh man, this sucks. I'm going out.
Wait, what? No, you're coming in fine. You're fine.
No, you're coming in fine. Yeah, we can hear you good.
Oh, it showed me something on here. Here it goes again. And it's a faster broadband. I'm feeling a little stupid.
Technology dev.
I'm going on my phone.
Wait, go ahead, man. You left us in the middle of the conversation.
Yeah, go ahead. Finish what you were saying, man.
It's acting crazy. Y'all, I'm telling y'all, it's acting crazy.
Nah, but we can hear you good. So
it's just like if I was on
Yo,
you, I'd be like,
perfect.
dude, like, oh my monitor's messed up. Like everybody else can hear you. Let's go.
yeah, you're not frozen or nothing. It's perfect.
Oh, that's amazing. Over here, it's like freezing and spinning.
Nah,
I don't want to get away from my point.
Tracy said, "Leave y'all alone." We like, damn, go ahead, man. You're the only one who can't hear. Like go ahead, you can hear yourself.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I can hear myself, but if it's drowned out.
You know what you say.
Well, pretty much all I'm saying is this. All of that redacted information, the people who they were classifying as conspiracy theorists and all that, they was the ones dropping this stuff last year. They were the ones that was writing this stuff and being tuned out. And my thing was like, okay, some of this stuff sounds really, interesting. But then what's crazy is to hear them say these things, and then they send or they post the CDC or the FDA's website, and it's right there. To your point, it's right there in plain view. But now I want to take it back further. When we first started doing, our live, I was told by one of my family members who's a doctor. She said, "Go to the CDC website." I was like, "Go to the CDC." And if you'll remember, I went. And if you remember, we would we were coming on like every other night. Remember that? And I was like, "Yo, man, they keep changing the information on the website, man." I was like, "I don't know what's going on." But what they were doing was they were burying certain things deeper and deeper and deeper, making it harder and harder to find. And so that's where my initial distrust came from. For me, it wasn't all of the pundits and all this other stuff. It was literally seeing the information there on a Monday, going back on a Wednesday, and then you got to go through 9 tabs to find what was up there initially on the Monday. And then I started seeing the narratives being formed. So all I'm saying is, America mainstream media is not putting all of this information out there. They're not. It's pretty much like,
I would agree.
Do
I
this.
would agree 100% with you.
Okay. Yeah. So, that's all I was saying. They're like, do this. And now that more people, because some people have been calling me and they're like, "Yo, what was you talking about? This, that, and the third, and ginger and all this other stuff." I'm like, all that stuff is the stuff that we should be doing anyway. This has nothing to do with COVID. I've always said COVID is new. We're not. Like, there's still things that we need to be doing to take care of ourselves because nobody knew what was happening. But now some of them are like, "Well, I've got X amount of shots and I'm uncomfortable doing this because," like, one person told me I don't want to say who it is because he's like close to me, said he was sick. Like he thought he was dying. But in his mind, he was like, "This can't be the shot." He was like, "It can't be the shot." You know what I mean? So he's automatically like, "No, it can't be the shot." But all of these things that they're now starting to reveal, my thing is, if you took the shot or not, we technically shouldn't be surprised. Do I know any? Yes, I know a few people who had severe side effects. Absolutely. I do. I don't know about the rest of the brothers. I do. Actually, I didn't even see this when I was speaking a minute ago. And I was speaking to someone.
I just posted it. I just clicked it.
Okay. So I know, I don't know a lot of people. Sean, let me say this. I don't know a lot of people. And by the grace of God, thank God, I don't know anybody that died from the shot, and which is blessings. And that's the whole thing. Like, nobody wants to see nobody lose their job, just like nobody wants to see nobody get sick or die or have a side effect. It's all one of those things where it's like, don't lose your morality in all of this. And when Charles was talking a minute ago about like once this thing passes, for me, I'm starting to see that some things might be irreparable because some of the language and the vile nature of certain people, it's like, yo, okay, was this really like, who are you? That's why I asked the question, or like, who, like, who are you? Like, what's going on? So I don't know. Depends on what you mean by severe. I think folks are lax. You're gonna put another one up here.
Well, even to Sean's point, though, I mean, yeah, obviously the numbers. I'm just gonna say this real quick. The numbers are low with severe reactions to it, but you don't have. But the CDC website does post those. It posts the severe reactions and the deaths that have occurred that they attribute to COVID. And it's probably, when I looked at it before, it was probably like about 13,000 people or something like that. And that's the CDC's account. So
of COVID or the vaccine?
From the vaccine. From the vaccine.
Yeah.
The vaccine, because COVID, we know, kills.
Yeah.
They say that those are the amount of deaths they attribute to some sort of reaction from the vaccine. And it's 13,000 people. I mean, a lot of places that's a city, but you know, damn, you know, that's, but when they do like the percentages, it'd be like, all right, you know, it's less than 1% or whatever. So it's a win, which is, you know, which you can't say, which is crazy because it's people who died and stuff. But matter of fact, I don't even want to say that myself. It's not. It's not.
Yeah. I mean, because whenever you say only,
huh?
But you know what? That's the unfortunate thing. It's like a quote I read years ago, man. One death is a tragedy, and hundreds and thousands of deaths is a statistic. You know, but the reality is, like, when you looking and playing the numbers game, when you figure that almost half the world, they say, is vaccinated, you're talking about almost 3 billion people and 13,000 people died, you know, like, and you compare that the reverse way when you're talking about 40 million infections in America and 700 and something thousand deaths, you start if you're just looking at the two from a statistical standpoint, you know, it's like, yo, do you want COVID or you want the vaccine? Then, you know, if you're playing a numbers game, I know it's not that comparable, but I'm saying if you're just playing a numbers game, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, they probably feel like shit. That's a, like you just said, Mike, they fit in the medical community. They probably feel like, yo, that's a win like crazy, man. Shoot, we got 3 billion people vaccinated and only 13,000. And like whenever we talk about deaths, I hate to use the word only, because to somebody, because to somebody that meant everything, you know, to somebody, that means everything.
I was laughing for a quick second because Noah posted a comment that says Charles came off the beach. I was gonna say, Noah, he flew in just for this, man. He don't fly back.
I rode that horse. No, I rode that horse all the way back, man.
Yeah, where's Noah, man? Noah hasn't been up here with us in a minute.
He probably got a flight out like after this. He probably gonna catch a flight after this.
Actually, tomorrow.
Or he might.
Look at that! I didn't even know that. You know how crazy that is. Look at it. Tomorrow.
Yeah, actually tomorrow.
Yo, he just flew in just for the show.
Yep.
You out again for real?
Yeah, I got to go down to Atlanta tomorrow night.
Got you. How long you staying?
Just for the weekend. I'm actually going down Friday night. I'm coming back Sunday morning.
Okay.
No, that's how we do.
You eat chicken?
Yeah.
Go to Gus's fried chicken, man.
Gus fried chicken.
Go to Gus's fried chicken. You didn't hear from me though.
Okay.
I don't know nothing about it.
Oh wait, did we read Tracy's comment? I'm just seeing it.
Depends on what you mean severe. I had swelling, extreme high blood pressure readings, and after the second shot, I was sick for like days. Yeah, quite a few people said they were sick.
But you know what? See, but now then that gets into that funny wording, like I think somebody was mentioning, because like some of the things that are severe to us, like, yo, I had a headache for 3 days. That's severe to me. I had extremely high blood pressure readings. That's severe to me. But in their clinical terminologies, those are like expected side effects. You know what I'm saying? So you get into that crazy terminology, how they'll try to, like, you know, from their standpoint, they'll try to be like, oh yeah, we expected that, but it cleared up in a couple of days, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, as if to try to downplay that is like a severe side effect. You know what I'm saying? Because
I mean, but it could be, right? I mean, because with the wrong.
No, it definitely can be. Definitely,
that could be a stroke. That could be a heart attack. You know what I mean? That could be.
Yeah. You know, but that's what I'm saying, because they look at that stuff like even like that stuff you was sent me, Dev, on the myocarditis with the swelling and stuff. I mean, you talk about a large heart. How can you not say that's not a severe side effect? You know what I'm saying? But they also were saying that, yeah, well, you know, in most cases it was conservative management and the swelling and everything disappeared within 7 days. So as long as they can kind of show that, I think they look at it no matter how severe the side effect is.
Thank you. Okay.
As long as they can show that it went away. When the thing, like, that's how they trying to read it. You know, that's how they trying to present it. You know,
that part. Yeah. You know, Tempest had wrote, I have recently realized they have changed the way they are wording in the commercials for the shot. If you could elaborate on that a little bit more, could you please put that in there in the thread just a little bit more, you know, what that would mean. So the audience,
a lot of stuff I can pick out that I know that they've done. I mean, there's and to her point, like, you know, just even when it started off with the shots and vaccines, it went from fully vaccinated to, you know, one shot to shots in the arm to, you know, then they started, the main number they started keeping count of was at least who had one shot, which made the percentages look higher. You know, there's like a lot of funny stuff that's going in the media. CDC stopped keeping count of the infection rate of people who had vaccines. They only kept track of those that are hospitalized and died. You know what I mean? But everything's still maintained for people who are non-vaccinated. Like, it's, you know.
And I just still don't understand how you could stop testing. I just don't understand. For me, if we're trying to get ahead of something, how do we stop testing the way we did? For me, I just don't get it. You know, and you know, that's why I've always felt like, what do we really know? You know, like right now, like, you know, you all saw with Southwest, with all this that happened with Southwest Airlines with the pilots, right? Mm-hmm. So somebody has sent me some information. I'll send it over to you all. And the only reason I didn't really want to talk about it too much is because I wasn't able to vet it the way I want to vet it. And basically they were saying, like, the pilots right now are like, they're gearing up. Like, they're like, nah, like the pilots that are not willing to take the shot, they're gearing up. And what was said to me was the pilots are like literally all taking vacations or sick leave at the same exact time, knowing it's going to cripple the airways. You know what I mean? And it's their way of starting to begin the protest because, you know, for some of the airlines, they're making it, I forgot, I think it's either American or let's see, the Delta. It might be Delta. Everybody there is vaccinated. If you're not, you got fired. Like one of those airlines. But
yeah,
now
I think it might be Delta or American, one of them.
I think it might be Delta. And you know, my brain's a little scattered, so, you know, but this is what's crazy. They were saying that is that basically if you're not vaccinated, you will not be able to catch a flight. That's the way it was starting to go. Because basically, and I didn't notice, if you work for the airlines, you're basically classified as like a federal contractor. And I never knew that. You know what I mean? And that's what was said to me. So we're seeing a lot of things happen. And I think, in my opinion, once everyone gets uncomfortable, meaning vaccinated, unvaccinated, then we're going to start seeing either some change or some problems in the streets. Because we overlooked the fact that if the truck drivers right now started going, we're not driving, that's it. Just like that. Right now, there's a supply chain shortage. It's happening in real time. China right now has been sort of mitigating their energy. So they're not even able to produce. Something's going on with these farmers right now. And a lot of us are just not paying attention. Like, we are all connected. And so when you were talking earlier, Charles, about like not the easy answer, but how do we all get along? I've always thought it comes with them being honest about what is happening. If they can just be honest, then people can truly assess and make decisions where they're not making decisions from misinformation, you know? And there was a lot of misinformation given out by the same people right now that are supposedly giving us good information. So there's some people that just don't want to take the shot because they feel like they were lied to. Some people are doing research. Some people never was down with vaccines. That's a whole nother discussion that no one wants to have. Some people just were not down with vaccines, whether it was religious or personal. And I know,
you got communities that don't believe in that. Definitely.
True. I just think,
but you got when you looking at, you got 70% of the country that's vaccinated, right? And you looking at it from a standpoint of, you got to remove the millions of people who are ineligible to get vaccinated. You know, like, I think they feel like, you know, well, all right, the numbers is on my side because, you know, and I think, like, you know, just like, you know, because like they're taking some very bold stances. Even like the lady, when she was like, yo, if the hospital workers quit, they just quit. You know, we got ways to fix that. And I was like, damn, that was kind of like a horrible.
That was such big talk. That was the common sense for me was like, really? Okay, sure. Like, you playing. Like, we're playing. Like, I don't even understand how they could even take that position when a lot of these people worked through a lot of that before there was a vaccine. And they put their lives on the line. And then you just say, we're going to bring in the National Guard. No, you're not. It's not going to work. It is not going to work. I don't believe it's going to work. I mean, we'll see. No,
but what I think that you ended up seeing was they weren't really hurt to that level that it was made to seem like they were going to be hurt. Because I don't think the hospitals are really non-functional because of nurses quitting for vaccine refusal.
But I don't think it happened. Charles, I don't think it happened, man. I think I don't think that they came and did this big sweeping thing. Now there were companies that laid off people. Make no mistakes about it.
Yeah.
But to the magnitude in which they was initially trying to push it, I don't think that happened. I mean, I don't think it happened.
No, I don't think so either. Yeah. But I mean, then I don't think that there was the mass. Well, so first of all, from what I was understanding with how they was talking about with the teachers, I'm not sure if this was the same way with the nurses, is they weren't firing you for refusing the vaccine. They were suspending you and giving you a certain amount of time. So you technically weren't being fired yet from your job. You were being suspended.
That was just a legal play, though, Charles. That was just a legal.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But I mean, but they didn't have to really give you that legal play at all because. So I think that they definitely wanted to force the mandate, but they didn't have to give you a suspension. They could have fired you because the law is on their side.
That was a protection thing. I don't even think like they weren't as comfortable. They were going through it, I think. But at the same time, they were like protecting themselves because they weren't 100% sure. They're like, we're going to do this, but we don't really know what the outcome is.
They every step of the way, they was like, we're going to prevail in court. Every step of the way, they was like, we're going to prevail in court.
But
because because you know what? If you looked at the teachers' lawsuit and you looked at the hospital workers' lawsuit, right? That they tried to bring before the court. None of them were actually challenging the constitutionality of mandatory vaccination. What the hospital workers were saying that the governor and them had flat out refused to honor religious exemptions. I think that's why they got the initial pause on it because throughout history, you've always been able to use medical or religious exemptions. So I think from that element, she kind of overstepped herself. Yeah, I agree with you. No, I agree with you with that. But all I have to do now is consider your religious exemption. But now, if you go further and you start reading equal opportunity law, a religious exemption is not an automatic. It's not just walking in there like, oh, I got a religious exemption to the vaccine, because everybody's going to do that don't want to take the shot. It's not an automatic,
medical or whatever. But yeah, I mean, there's a few different categories that was put in.
But it's not an automatic. In the law, only requires.
No, none of it's automatic. But you remember,
that's what I'm saying.
Talking about
but again, it's something that opens you up to legal. That opens up to legal. What's the word I'm looking for? Legal something.
What, legal ramifications?
Steps. They stripped all of the steps that you should actually have based on those laws that were already there. You can't just do that.
But guys, let me run through some questions because I see some comments popped up real quick. Just want to go through this. So Letitia put up what are our thoughts about the testing and our DNA being everywhere. Someone brought this to my attention, and the genealogical. Oh, I got that word out. Genealogical companies haven't been advertising. That they haven't been advertising. Like, don't worry, we got the stuff free or something like that already. What do you think about that? Yeah,
I'm a little weary of it, but I mean, why wouldn't I be? I mean, I'm deaf. I mean, I hate to say it like that, but I mean, I've heard things like that, and what I've also heard is like they're sort of harboring that information, and they're getting paid a lot of money for that information, And it's just like banks when they get your money and then they lending your money out during the day, and everybody's eating, you know. So,
no question.
Yeah, I mean it's out there. Like one thing I did know because I looked into this. So everyone asks a question a lot of times when they talk about the different the variants and stuff that are out there. So everyone's kind of given access to take like the COVID test to see if you're positive, negative, and then they said like what's happening with the variants. Like how do I know which variant stuff I got? The percentage of they are testing those, but it's such a small percentage, and I don't know how they're actually picking those out. But I know I had looked at New York's list one time, and out of like 150,000 tests that were done in a day, they tested less than 500 on variants. Like, and that was something that I found after digging for some information. So that tells you like the percentage is ridiculously low on so that they're taking a percentage of that and determining what the variance percentage is out there. So I don't know, but what they so they are taking additional people's information and testing it further and doing whatever else with the DNA stuff. Who knows? But I'm sure you signed away for it somewhere when you said, "Okay, I'll take it."
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. I'll do it. You gave him rights to it somewhere.
Yo, it's just like it's just like the idea arguing about privacy rights as you're posting about it on social media from your 5G capable phone, man, where you sign the terms and condition that Facebook basically co-owns your phone with you. It's like yo, okay, like privacy, like yeah, we all want our privacy respected, but it's kind of hard to even expect that when you're on social media platforms through smartphones and computers where, like I told you, I went to this spy museum. They consider the cell phone the greatest tracking device ever invented, and after everybody finished arguing about their privacy, they won't put that phone down, though. So it's like, how much do you want to even entertain this argument? Yo, you worried about your privacy? All right, here's one way you got to protect it. Get off social media and put that smartphone away. And everybody's like, okay, well, I ain't doing neither one of those things. So then it's hard to entertain the privacy argument after that.
Yeah.
Valerie made the next comment. She says, I wonder if people with severe side effects from the vaccine would have fared much worse from the real thing. At least the vaccine isn't trying to replicate. What do I think about that? I don't know. The vaccine isn't trying to replicate. Isn't trying to replicate as the
virus isn't trying to replicate.
Yes and no. I mean, the vaccine is made to have your cells replicate the. I'm gonna get this right. The spike protein, right? Okay. And they said one of the difficult things that I don't even know how they cleared that up or managed that properly. So they said one of the things that I guess Moderna was working on when they did this is, all right, you turn it on to make it replicate the spike protein, but they don't necessarily have a way to turn it off. It's something that declines, that degrades over time. And as they said right now, they really don't know what the effectiveness or the length of all of this, and how it draws out the protection. So that kind of goes the same for the whole replication of spike protein or the creation of the spike proteins, I guess, with the whole.
But they use that technology. Are you familiar with this pill they're trying to get approval for?
Yeah.
But that's actually it's called lethal mutagenesis, and where you're actually trying to increase it, so it's almost like you're making the virus mutate and try to replicate too much, and because all they're trying to do is throw an error code.
You're talking about the pill to produce antibodies? You talking about that one?
No, the Merck pill with Merck and the company. They're trying to get emergency approval now for the pill, and once you get the symptoms, you're supposed to take 2 pills a day for 5 days, and yeah. Okay, but now you know what? Now here's the funny thing, right? Now, I think just our mindset of taking a pill, because people take so many pills versus shooting something. I think the idea of shooting something, injecting something in you, just doesn't sit well in the mindset of people versus a pill when you're talking about medications, right? But so they're trying to get this pill emergency approved. And I was like, man, so I'm waiting to see what happens. And I want to see if people take this pill, because I think people are just a little bit more comfortable with pills than they are with shots. And to see like what the public response is going to be to this pill.
If they put it in a pill form, it's that is by definition going to make people think it's safer, but that pill form is very similar to the same treatment that's been out there. That's it's basically like the antibody treatment that we know somebody who's taken that already, and that in of itself has very serious side effects, to it, already. So again, I'm sure they're working through a lot of this stuff, or rather, let me say it has not that it has very serious side effects. It can have very serious side effects.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm sure, and the pill is very much in line with the same thing. It's just given in a different manner. So, there's a lot of, that's why I say, like, when you push through, okay, it's fine to push through this if it's with the intent to help people. But a lot of this is like the testing ground for all this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, companies, when I say, like, people bring up like the whole great conspiracy and stuff and everything, like pharmaceutical companies, like, just some noise popping up. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's the phone. My phone. Go ahead.
But it's like that phrase that they say, that people looking for profits on something. They say, never let a good tragedy go to waste. Pharmaceutical company, and this ain't a conspiracy type thing, but if you're a pharmaceutical company, this is my moment to shine, and I can get this thing I was struggling with. Like Moderna was struggling with the mRNA technology for years, and
mm-hmm.
I read, the funny thing is, I think I told you before, I read an article from back in like 2015, and coincidentally, it said like they were going to have troubles unless there was like an emergency case use in order to push things through rapidly, and that's exactly what happened like 6 years later. So
yeah, but that technology was originally trying to treat cancer, not
yeah, but it's the same. I mean,
the viruses.
But it's the same purpose. And I think I told you before. And
but now I said that to say this though, because that pill that they're coming out with, right? The clinical studies on that didn't start to October of last year, but yet the pill is ready.
Well, but that's because because you're able to. That's like with the mRNA technology. You're able to. They say because it's based off genetic coding and stuff like that, you don't need any actual. You don't need to develop it like other vaccines to curate it and.
No, but this isn't a vaccine though.
No. I know, but it's all an antibody thing. But I'm saying they're similar in the fact that there's a quick turnaround for these things. You know what I mean? So, the quick turnaround to create it, but not with the testing.
But to be more specific with the pill, but because the pill was trying to be developed for another ailment since 2013, and they took it. So, like I'm saying, with the mRNA technology. This pill was actually developed by DeVry in Atlanta. And the study on it, they studied it in Africa, Europe, America, South America. And the clinical studies on it was totally financed by a husband and wife venture capitalist people. And they got a little small biopharmaceutical company. It was totally funded by them. They got no government funding or anything for it. But so now, even though, and this is what I'm saying with technology, even though the clinical studies as it relate to coronavirus didn't start to October last year, the actual study of the actual medication for being used for that pill being used for medicinal purpose started around 2013, but it was failing at what they were originally trying to develop it for. And they took a shot with it with the coronavirus, and now this thing is supposed to be, a wonder pill right now. Who knows?
I've never seen in all of these years I've been on the earth, I've never seen something just with so much success. Right.
Well, I mean, you figure that's 8 years of trying something, though.
No,
you know what I mean?
But I mean,
I actually don't figure it. I actually figure that we don't know.
But yeah, but see, think about it, right? So Moderna, the company Moderna is only about 10 or 12 years old, right, to begin with. So they were working on the mRNA technology for a while, and I don't know if maybe I think they were doing it with a company prior to Moderna or whatever, but Moderna itself is only about 10 to 15 years old, not much more than that. But it was in not in trials, it was in testing for a long period of time. And the length of time doesn't you can't equate the length of time with like comfort or safety. They were doing it for a length of time because they were having
no question
with it for a period of time. One of the things they were saying that the stuff that it was replicating tumors in the body like to attach itself to it and help spread around the body kind of thing. So that was one of the main obstacles that they were like, damn, we got to work this out. And then and when you listen to the people in the newscast saying, and thank goodness, right about the time COVID came around, they figured it out. Like, all right, maybe, what I'm saying? Like, I guess so. I guess they did. Hopefully they did.
But I mean, yeah, but like you said, it's thing. But I mean, this is what I'm saying, how I look at it. Yo, is there room for them to be lying totally and trying to trick us all? Of course there is. Like, nobody can doubt that. I mean, you have things that you can look at, but I don't understand also why there's just this disbelief that it's implausible, especially from people that don't even really know, like us and most of the people on social media that don't even know what it really takes. Like people say, I don't see how they could develop a vaccine that fast. But then if I ask you, Mike, well, how do you develop a vaccine? You don't even know where to begin to start telling me, but you telling me what they can't do, but you're not even able to tell me what can be done.
That's not, in my opinion, that's not really a fair assessment.
How is it not? If you don't know how to do it, how can you say they can't do it?
To explain. I'm going to explain why it's not a fair assessment. Ultimately, every single thing that we have known as far as what we classify as protocol has been thrown out the window. You agree or disagree?
Everything that we've known as protocol, as far as what?
As far as protocol, as far as how vaccines are developed.
I guess
I don't 100% know what the initial stages of the vaccine development is.
You do know that these medicines were not done in a traditional fashion, and they did come in through emergency use management without proper trials. Every single one.
Well, but this is not the first time that medication has entered into our system like that.
Very specifically about these vaccines. Very specifically. I'm not talking about anything else that happened 100 years ago, 50 years ago. Very specific.
No, but it happens every day, though. That's what I'm saying.
I know, but I'm talking about the 3 vaccines that we are familiar with that are most prominent, because there are other companies developing vaccines. But for all that we know, these 3 in particular were not a part of any protocols that we were accustomed to up until now. Do we agree with that? Can you agree with that? Just,
That of what? That they received emergency use?
No, I didn't say that. We know
so what protocol are you, that's where I'm lost at. What are you saying? Like,
okay. So for whatever it was that we used as a measuring stick to get to vaccines prior to 2019, that was not used for these 3 vaccines that we see now.
Okay.
No, man.
But I'm gonna say, in all honesty, like in every vaccine that I'm familiar with, polio,
no, not every
mumps,
vaccine.
measles,
these 3 vaccines.
No, but what I'm saying is, I don't know exactly. That's my answer. I don't know exactly all of the steps that was taken to make any vaccine.
Wait. All right, let me.
Not just these. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know.
I know, Dev. Can I jump in for a quick second? Dev's trying to make a point. He's just making a point that it's skipped tradition.
You won't answer.
No, he's saying it's.
No, because what I'm saying is, did these get emergency use?
No. But that's not what he's saying. So wait. But if he let me jump in, because I see Addison's going in. He's saying it skipped protocol, and your way of thinking about it is no, it didn't skip protocol. It went through protocol of emergency use access. Like, no, that's not what he's saying. He's saying it skipped traditional steps.
Okay, so what I'm saying is I don't with no other vaccine, I don't even know what traditional protocol is. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, well, time.
I'm out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Let me simplify it. Do they normally do trials? Because I saw somebody wrote a second ago, Valerie wrote, it's been in development for at least 10 years. So my question to you very simply is, do they normally do trials?
Yes.
And don't they normally take longer than 24 months?
I honestly don't know.
Come on,
That's
Charles.
what I'm saying
Come
to you.
on, man. Come on, Charles. Come on, bro.
I don't know how long. I don't know how long no medication has ever taken.
Bro, you arrested. You fresh off the beach, bro.
How long did it take to make Tylenol? I don't know how long it took to make that.
If you take too much of it,
since we're describing this, I can look it up while we doing it. So go ahead.
I mean, I could look it up.
You know, if you take too much Tylenol, what happens to your liver?
I'm assuming that
it'll mess you up. So this is my point about bringing Tylenol up, because you mentioned it. At the end of the day, when they first released Tylenol, they didn't say that. They didn't say that.
But I don't know that. That's what I'm saying to you. I don't know how long it took them to make Tylenol.
I'm not talking about no, bro. Listen.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know.
Everything you're saying, I see it on the wall. As soon as you say it, it writes. And I'm not confused about what I'm saying to you. I'm being very specific about something. Ultimately, for Tylenol, when they put Tylenol out, they didn't say, if you take 7 or 8 or 9, it'll mess your liver up. They didn't say that. So ultimately, they made some changes. Okay. Ultimately, they say, wait a minute, we want you to know you can get sick from that. But because they did not have enough data to know that initially, or if they knew it, they did not reveal it. They apparently ended up spending millions and millions of dollars to pay people for what just happened in this time period, in the last 24 months of our lives. We have never seen this before. So if you want to do emergency use management, we can do that. We can talk about emergency use management, because if I'm not mistaken, are all 3 of them finally approved?
I think Pfizer is officially approved, and I think maybe Moderna. Not 100% sure.
No, I said all 3. It's either yes or no on it. See how simple it is, bro? And I hate to be like that, but if all 3 aren't approved, all 3 are not approved.
Okay, but then you have to accept that answer when I said that I know Pfizer is. I'm not sure about the other ones, so I can't tell you yes or no.
Okay. Ultimately,
this is
what I'm saying. Like I don't know.
Ultimately,
I'm gonna post the comments as y'all going. Go ahead.
Ultimately, I know I don't know much about what's happening, but I tell you what I do know. All of the talk.
So somebody said Johnson & Johnson is not approved.
Okay. So Johnson & Johnson's not approved. Okay, I didn't know that. So he just, maybe that's why Dave Chappelle said what he said. I'm sorry. On the special, Dave just went in on Johnson & Johnson. But
somebody, Elders is looting time the way says, get him out of here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care what he thinks, though.
Nah, man, it's all
good. Go ahead. Let's keep on going.
Listen.
Keep it going.
And Valerie said, don't overdose on Tylenol. Yeah. Really, what I'm saying is this, man. If they just would have been honest and just said, hey, everybody, for me, this is that. We have this emergency use management medicine or vaccine or shot or whatever. And we want to tell you straight up, in 3 years, we just don't know if you're going to be here or not. Or we don't know if your left leg is going to develop a rash or just anything. It doesn't necessarily mean death.
But what about if they told you
Time out. I got to hear me first.
Because they did tell you that it was emergency.
I have to hear me first on this one, because I want to make my point. Because every other point I tried to make, you just was up, and you one of the smartest guys I know. So I don't know what's going on, man. You just jumped off that plane.
Because you asking me to give you an answer to something I'm telling you I don't know.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
But I mean, even something as simple, you said, are all 3 of them approved? I said, I don't know. And you said, oh, come on, man.
All right, but next step.
Because I guess I assumed, because all the other stuff you knew, you would have known that all 3 wasn't. If I would have said to you, like I said a few minutes ago, about the Tylenol.
But think about it. You asked me a question.
But so I'm like,
Patrick just told us
you don't want to hear it, and then if I ask you and you don't want to answer it, I'm sort of stuck in the middle.
Hold on, but you asked me a question that you didn't even know the answer to, because we both just learned from Patrick that Johnson & Johnson wasn't.
Can I tell you something? I knew all three was not approved. I didn't know which ones wasn't. Okay. So let me be clear with you. I knew all three wasn't approved. I didn't know which one was or wasn't, but I was trying to bring you to speed on my end, because I said I must be making this thing confusing, because I'm saying ultimately the way this process just took place,
because I want to know
it has never happened before. This process, for what we have seen as far as medicine on this level worldwide, we've never seen this before. And that's all I was trying to get to. We've never seen this. So any protocol, emergency use management, whatever, we've never witnessed this before. Fine, cool. I'm saying for certain people like myself, who was just looking at things and seeing the contradictions, trying to figure things out, who humbly don't want to die, who doesn't want to get COVID, who doesn't want to get sick, and we're leaning and we're asking questions, and something as simple as health right now. I'm watching people debate about health. I'm watching you tell people, hey, you know, the same things you might have been telling them 5 years ago, and they want to argue with you about health. Oh, well, you know, I heard somebody say it was so stupid. I almost, you know, normally I don't want to call nobody stupid, but this was stupid. And they were like, all I'm saying is, if you eat well and you change your diet, that's not going to help you tomorrow. If you get COVID, it takes time for your immunity to build. And I'm like, yeah, it does take time for your immunity to build. But when you going to start building, you better start building. If not for COVID, you better do it for the flu. If not for the flu, you better do it for tuberculosis.
Always a good, anytime's the perfect time to start.
Huh?
I say anytime's a perfect time to start doing the right thing.
I agree with you. But our minds, not our minds in this forum, but overall, when you're watching just how far away we have gotten for not only thinking for ourselves, because now if you think independently, you're an anti-vaxxer. So if I ask you a question, or if I say I'm uncomfortable, now it's just you're an anti-vaxxer. And now just to show you how stupid it's getting as far as the variables, people who said, you know what, I got the first 2 shots, I don't want to get the booster. And they straight up like, I don't want to get the booster. They're like, you're not vaccinated. And people are going off on them, and they're like, I took the first 2 shots before your dumbass did. So how are you tripping? And what I'm saying to everybody is, listen, ultimately, we have gotten away from what they said about herd immunity and what they was trying to get. They've got some of those numbers just like Israel, and they didn't get the results they wanted. So now they're pushing the vaccine for herd immunity. They're still not getting the results they want. And all I'm saying is,
but were they getting the results without the vaccine?
Huh?
Were they getting the herd immunity?
Now you already know. No, they weren't. No, to answer your question about herd immunity, no. But was the virus mitigated? Yes. Am I wrong?
Was the virus mitigated by herd immunity, or what are you saying?
No. Herd immunity Herd immunity never happened where the virus was contained. But the virus in its entirety, when we had that full lockdown, that time period, the numbers started dropping. If I'm wrong, correct me.
No, 100%.
So what I'm saying is, for that time period, the virus was mitigated. It hadn't went away. Let me be clear. But for once, we were able to say, okay, so we see if we wear the mask, if we do this with our hands, if we stay distance, for this time period, we have something that's the numbers are down. I'm just gonna say it like that. I want to simplify everything. But what's so crazy to me is when they opened everything back up, and Charles, me and you already agreed on this, so I'm not saying anything that's like a disagreement. When they opened everything back up, they did it in a manner where now it was almost like a jump start on people getting sick again, because we had people who didn't want to wear masks, people who did want to wear masks. Everybody started having these parties and doing all kinds of things. And again, the common sense from what we had just learned went out the damn window.
But and I agree with you, yes. But whose fault was that you saying though?
Whose fault was what?
No, I agree with you. The way that I said when we were on lockdown and everything, the numbers did start coming down. I agree with that. But nobody wants to stay on lockdown. So it's how do we keep the numbers down off of lockdown? When they opened back up, they said that people which I disagreed with this, that the people who were vaccinated didn't have to wear their mask.
Bingo.
I didn't agree with that policy. But
Right.
what I can tell you is that the policy was only for the people who were vaccinated. Every unvaccinated person, at least I can speak for New York City, became identified. There was even social media memes of it, identified as a vaccinated person, because nobody was wearing masks this summer. Nobody was social distancing, and the numbers started climbing. Now my question is, if you were unvaccinated,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't blame any one group for spreading it. I'm just saying, though, if the policy I implemented was that if you were unvaccinated, you still had to wear your mask, and you didn't wear your mask, and you didn't social distance, and the numbers started rising, you're not taking no responsibility in that. You're saying that was the government's fault.
I just think that argument is so like in the clouds. And let me explain to you why. Just from a simple, stupid perspective, if I'm just a dunce and I go, oh, wow, you have the vaccination. I don't have the vaccination. You should be protected from me. In theory, you should be protected from me. You took the shot. So now your antibodies or whatever it's supposed to be doing, in theory, should be working in your system. But let's come back to common sense, all right? I never agreed, like you didn't, with, oh, now that you're vaccinated, take your mask off. And I never agreed that people who weren't vaccinated, as some people say, were living as vaccinated folk. All of that stuff to me was like, let me just stay over here and still just keep my distance from everybody.
Well, I'm saying I'm not basing that off of government information. I mean, I'm in New York City every day, and nobody had their mask on in the summer.
That was the common sense perspective. But ultimately, what I keep constantly saying is everything that we learned has been thrown out the window. Common sense is thrown out the window. And now let me show you how stupid people sometimes sound. You know? Oh, you didn't take the shot and you're unvaccinated. So even though you're not sick, you can't come around me. If you got 2 or 3 shots in your body, if you got 2 or 3 shots in your body and somebody tests negative, and they don't have anything, they don't have no COVID or nothing, and you're saying, you don't got the shot, you should stay away from me. Where is the brilliance in that? Can anybody in the thread show me where the hell is the brilliance in that? And what that tells me is, for me, because I'm definitely an independent thinker, and all of us are independent thinkers. Let me say that. That's the beauty of us and us talking. But I'm like, wait a minute. So once again, protocol went out the window as far as how we got this vaccine. I understand emergency use management. We have a pandemic. We got to do something. I get it. Okay. But we're going to throw all the protocols out the window. But now, even when we're able to see that we can mitigate this thing through the vaccine, for the people who want to take the vaccine, through the distancing, through the mask, we're going to take certain things away at different times. Oh, the numbers just went back up. But everything that we learned that we should be stepping on, we got away from. And I'm going to say this last thing. I'm going to shut the hell up. Somebody said to me, well, we had to get the economy going back again. I said, I feel you on that. Yeah, everybody needed to work and make money. But this is the only thing that went through my brains. Why do you open a school up to 100% capacity when you don't have the numbers where they need to be as far as the way the original Delta variant, which we don't even talk about no more, COVID-19. Nobody talking about COVID, not the original Delta variant. COVID-19, you don't hear nobody talking about COVID no more. So why do we open up everything instead of having school maybe go at 50%, jobs at 50%, maybe off and on the different days or something like that? You know why they didn't do that? They wasn't willing to spend that bread. They wasn't willing to spend the money, and nobody's going to convince me otherwise. Nobody's going to.
I mean, that probably definitely played a role, but there was also a push from a lot of parents, man, to get the kids back in school.
Yeah.
No, but hear me out. There's no argument here. And I know that some parents was really suffering and struggling because, they couldn't go to work. And I get it. What I'm saying to you is it went from 0 to a trial period for some places of 50-50 to, you know what? We have 40% of the population vaccinated, open everything back up. So again, the speed and the lack of, in my opinion, this is just Dev and I ain't nobody, the lack of paying attention to what was really happening, because we wanted to get back to that bread. When I say we as a nation, I'm not saying we all agree. it basically circumvented and went above our health. Now,
Yeah.
I'm not.
But I think the American people, not just the government and corporate. I mean, look at the protests that were going on for now. Because at one point it seemed like you're saying the lockdown was working with the numbers, which I agree it was for a little while.
And I stand on it. Yes, sir.
No, I agree with that too.
Yes, sir.
But the people who were affected by the lockdown, restaurants, theaters, and everything, that now want to jumpstart the community again, I mean the economy again, but the people who were subjected to the lockdown also was pushing and arguing that the lockdowns doesn't work. There was no sense of doing it, and they were pushing for this immediate reopening.
I agree with that. The push came from both sides. It was like so, but to Dev's point, the concern or the stated concern about health like went out the door. It was really just economics and just everybody. It was people getting back to work, people and businesses open, and people getting back to work, and we'll figure it out as we go.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. But the people, but I'm saying that push was also coming from.
That's what I just said. That's what I just said.
Like that wasn't like people was like, no, keep us locked down. Let's get this under control. People was like, yo, what are we locked down for? 99% of the people survived this. Yo, nobody wanted to be locked down. It was a major push to unlock the country and open it back up. Look at Florida and Texas and Georgia. It was like, yo, just go back out. Like COVID ain't even here. So, I mean, it was a major push from the Republican states and everything. Just open the economy back up. You know what I mean? And the people in those states wanted that. They never even wanted to get locked down from the beginning. So, like, I don't think that was just a governmental thing. I think that was also coming from the American people. Like, yo, we ain't getting locked down another summer. Nah, that's it. You had a major push to get those kids. Yo, you think about 11th graders right now? People entering into 11th grade right now, kid. A lot of these kids is going to high school for the first time, and they already in 11th grade because they've been homeschooling for the last year and a half. Them parents was pushing to get those kids back in school, man. Big time.
Listen, I know everybody's been trying to figure it out, but what I don't personally like is when we have things that we saw. It's sort of like tools in the toolbox. Like we open up, we know we have these tools, and all of a sudden we just going to take one tool out. One tool. We're going to close the box and say we're not using no other tools. This is the only tool. When we already know some of the other tools worked, maybe in different combinations, maybe in some way, shape, or form. And that's what I mean by the common sense perspective. It's like even the mistakes that I've made over time with this COVID thing, you know, with the things that I've learned, some of the stuff I thought early on was a little different, a little crazy because I didn't have nothing to anchor it to. But I'm like, dang, I really thought like that. But everybody was thinking in one way, shape, or form, a little out of pocket, but all of the misinformation, which I'm not changing on that because we all know how much misinformation, not saying it was deliberate, but a lot of misinformation. And now we're at a place now where you telling people you're not going to be able to do this, you're not going to be able to travel. And then you got dummies like D.L. Hewley, who I used to have a lot of respect for, saying things like, oh, you want to do vaccinated things. I'm like, yo, dude, like, y'all better stop playing with this thing because ultimately we all still in this melting pot. And to your point earlier, like when this thing dies down and it's not where it is and we finally learn this new normal where we learn how to get around, some of the things that have been said and done, they're not going to be forgotten. Not going to be forgotten, man. You know? So.
And it'll be a new issue to divide, to argue about, and all of that. But you know, like, yo, there's definitely 100%. There's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of information. I think there's deliberate misinformation, and I think you have deliberate misinformation that has probably come from the medical government community to maybe appease the population. I think that equal amount of misinformation has come from social media and people that have no understanding of none of this. Like all of us have a minimal understanding. You know what I'm saying? Because I know that there are people that know that believe they have governmental and world conspiracies and agendas. I know there are people that think they have an accurate accounting on Bill Gates and George Soros's financing and all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, all of us is just trying to navigate through this and try to understand it and figure it out the best way we can. But I think that it's coming from both sides. But then what happens is, to what your point is, then it starts borderlining on the ridiculous. Like, yo, okay, well, Dev just took a test that says he's negative, so he can't come around me though because he's not vaccinated. Now you're starting to get into a different realm, and that's where it becomes really divisive with that, because like I said, I just went to Jamaica with 52 people, and 5-6 of them weren't vaccinated, but we all took COVID tests to go over there, right? But now I'm gonna tell you something. Hold on. But now let me tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
We all took COVID tests to go over there. 52 of us.
Uh-oh.
We all took COVID tests to return back to America, right?
Mm-hmm.
I took a COVID test Sunday, right? Which is funny because America accepts the rapid test to re-enter the country, but then some places only accept the PCR test. But you can return to America with a rapid test. Mm-hmm. I took a rapid test Sunday afternoon. I boarded a flight at 12:30 to fly back to America. All 52 of us tested negative in Jamaica and returned to America. And 2 of the people who were part of the 6 that were unvaccinated tested positive when they got back to America. I went and took a COVID test again today because I was around them, even though I just took one Sunday and it came back negative again today. But so even now here's a lot of dilemmas. Was the test in Jamaica accurate or was it not? Did it catch it? Did it not catch it? You know what I'm saying? They said that the reason they tested when they got back is because they started feeling sick. But did you start feeling sick right when you came back from America? Did you start feeling sick in Jamaica? Did you catch it in the airport, the airplane, from a vaccinated person, an unvaccinated person? That's just a circular argument, kid. Nobody never know. You know what I'm saying?
Please let me speak to this for what you just said. The power in what just took place is you all tested, you all have information. Now you can move with that information versus no one testing, everybody doing what they're doing and moving and just doing whatever. And now people don't know if they're sick or if they can be passing it to other people. And I want to stress that. You guys still, for the variables, did the responsible thing. That's all.
Okay, so now let me ask you that. Now I agree with you. You 100% right. But now let me ask you this. If you could go to Mexico, because I went to Mexico last year. Mm-hmm. Mexico wasn't requiring nothing. Mm-hmm. That's why everybody was running to Mexico, because this was the beginning stages that you had to get COVID tested. Mm-hmm. Nobody really knew what to do, whatever. So everybody was going to Mexico. And one of the big reasons why everybody was going to Mexico is because they literally had no COVID requirements down there. You didn't have to wear a mask. You didn't have to test before you came. So now with that being said, I'm talking about human behavior now. I ain't talking about government. Do you think that if it wasn't mandatory that you test before you board the flight to Jamaica, and it wasn't mandatory that you test before you board the flight back to America, do you think everybody would test and take those same precautions?
Well, I'll say this. I don't know. To answer your question straight honestly, do I think everybody would test? Probably not. Some people don't like the test. But I do want to say this. If people have not taken the shot or gotten the vaccine, or if people have taken the shot and gotten the vaccine, early on in this podcast, I said getting away from testing, in my opinion, was one of the worst things. It's not to say that the virus won't spread. It's just to say we will have the numbers to actually know what is actually happening
Yeah.
You know, as far as the virus, there were a few windows over the last like 18 months where we really didn't know what was happening with the virus because of how fast these laws were changing and how fast things were being put out there. And so for me, there's a few places that I know you've been, Charles, because you've been there everywhere, that I want to go, but I knew very early on, for me, for Dev, before I would be on a plane and moving like that, I knew it was going to be some time. Even when the urge is there, because there's things that I want to do that I miss doing, I knew it was going to be some time. But I also knew it was going to be some time if they developed the vaccine before I would be willing to take it. You see my point? So for me, I knew very early on that I had to give myself some time to not only feel comfortable, but to get a better understanding of what was happening. Because this whole thing to me reminded me of the AIDS era, the beginning of the AIDS era. That's what it reminded me of. Even though I was a little kid when it was happening, I just remember the pandemonium. People didn't know if you could get it from touching this. And it was a scary time period because it was a lot of ignorance. But the ignorance is one thing when you just don't know. The willful ignorance, I don't know, man. And just
can you imagine what that would have been like with social media?
Well, I mean, you know what? I think we've seen it. And I do want to answer Valerie really quick. She said, why are the other tools that have no research behind them? I mean, the ones where the CDC has said not to use, more trustworthy than vaccines that have been researched more rigorously. If that's the case scenario, I mean, I don't really know what those tools are, Valerie. I'll say this. If something, for instance, I was going to Africa, and you all knew this, we talked about it. I was going to Africa before the pandemic hit. There were some shots I had to take. There were some shots that Charles, you've been to Africa, right?
Yeah.
How many times? Like a few times, right? Or twice? Once. Okay. Okay. So I knew that there were shots that I had to take to go to Africa. I didn't have an issue with it. None. And I say that to say all of the talk for people that keep saying everything's anti-vax, that's not it. People have been questioning one shot. There's people that don't take the flu shot that took this shot. All facts. But ultimately, whatever those tools are, if there's nothing back behind them and it's quack medicine, I mean, I can't answer that question because that wouldn't be me. But if there's something that where we have an understanding of how the medicine is working or the tools, whatever they are working, and it makes sense, so be it. Nothing in the last 25 years in this country in particular has worked towards a healthier lifestyle. Everything has been take a pill, period. You want to lose weight? Take a pill. You know, you want to gain weight?
Oh, ain't no question. Ain't no question.
You know, everything is take a pill. You got high blood pressure? Take a pill. And what I'm saying is all those variables, they're still very real. And if they can help you, use them. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. You know,
yeah. But that's getting the people because, you know, for blood pressure, diabetes, and stuff like that, your doctor tells you ways that you can do to try to wean yourself off these pills. So I don't think that now, obviously, a pharmaceutical company, they're drug dealers. They got a vested interest in selling drugs, right? But like, with high blood pressure, they tell you the red meat. They tell you about the processed food. They tell you about your salt intake. And now it's up to human behavior. And the reality is a lot of times human behavior just doesn't stop eating the fried food. It doesn't stop eating the red meats, doesn't stop the salt intake. And you know what they do as a supplement? They just swallow the blood pressure pill.
Right. But they also, one of the things that's never taught to us is the addictive properties of food. And so a lot of the times we're telling people who have already been addicted to meat 40, 50 years, who have already fed their children and their grandchildren, this is what the data says, but ultimately we have legacies of addiction to food and meats and stuff like that. And I just think that this is just my take. This is my take. There's been a major uptick in the last 15, 20 years where people are going vegan. people are paying a little bit more attention to what they're eating. Most of them, I don't say most. I've heard that a lot of the celebrities are vegan, but they also have chefs. You know what I mean? That, you know, when they got money and they can probably make that food taste like anything they want it to taste. It's going to be appetizing. It's going to be good. And, you know, the sacrifice that's needed right now in all of this, I don't see it. And what I mean by that is, like, a lot of us have made sacrifices in our lives. But me not jumping on a plane right now and not going to see certain things or not traveling and stuff, yeah, it's a sacrifice, and it's not something I wanted to do. You know, for my 50th, you know, I had it all planned out. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, you know, I'm gonna turn up for once, you know, I'm gonna have a good time. And it was like, nah. It was like, nah. But that sacrifice for me, at least I could sleep a little bit better knowing for me that I didn't bring anything home and then I hurt my family. So my point, that's always been my fundamental thing. Because the reality, yo, man, we know we came up in the clubs in Manhattan and we came up partying up and down the East Coast and doing things and having a good time. And back then, like, you know, when we came up, there was smoke everywhere. You go in the mall, they were smoking. You get in the cab, they were smoking. You know, you go to the club, they smoking. And everybody was going into this more health conscious aspect of living. And then all of a sudden, everybody's not being told to still stick with those things that just from a natural part of things, we're supposed to be doing for our bodies anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Shoot.
But now talking real quick about mandates, when they was talking about smoking, and I'm talking about cigarette smoking, not marijuana or anything else, cigarette smoking, you know what they eventually did? They when people weren't conforming enough with it, yo, they banned them. Yo, you can't smoke here. Right. You can't smoke there.
You're right.
You know what I'm saying?
But check it out, though. And this goes back to what you said earlier, and I started to say something. They did it once they already got all the money. They got more money than they'll ever need for the next 200 or 300 years.
Oh,
and then the money that they set to the side for the lawsuits, that's already there. We people, this is not like a black, an Asian, or Latino, or white, or green, or this is a basic thing. We gotta do this, and we also gotta admit when we wrong in order to grow. We gotta be like, yo, you know what? I had that wrong. Let me try something new. But the social distancing, it worked. Have people in the restaurants, it worked. Wearing the mask, it worked. There's a picture that I started to put up where they show a classroom of kids. Half of them sneezed. No, all of them, but like 2 of them sneezed onto a Petri dish with a mask on. And then the ones without the mask sneezed. And then the ones without the mask had a whole bunch of fungus and stuff growing. But my thing is, we already knew that. You see my point? This is going back to 4th grade and 5th grade, you know, and we just consistently run away from what we know because of the convenience of a quick fix. Nothing quick about this, y'all.
No, ain't no question about that. But then that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I keep saying with human behavior, kid. Like, it's like, when do, you know, because you even brought somebody on the show that spoke about like growing food, healthy eating, how you're addicted to like the different cravings and all of that. So at some point, to like what you're saying, like I agree with that. Like regardless of pandemic or not, like we should all be striving for a healthier lifestyle, and not just in food intake, just in stress level and everything we're doing. You know what I'm saying? Just in our daily existence should be that. But what I'm saying is, now here's where human behavior comes in. And yeah, there are definitely people that have agendas for our community specifically, but it's like, yo, when do our behavior come into play? Like when do you, because like you said, this ain't nobody's first time hearing about eating healthy, right? So, and we understand that these type of behaviors were once instilled in us and taught to us and everything. But like, come on, we pushing 50. We pushing almost the oldest generation on the planet. How long are we gonna keep saying like, yo, this is what I was told when I was younger, without no change? Like, yo, come on, son. The only people, like, I'm gonna keep it real. Like, we getting older. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? This ain't Benjamin Button, kid. We ain't reversing backwards. Once our moms and them is removed, kid, we gonna be the oldest generation on the planet. Like, how can I be the oldest generation on the planet still talking about, well, when I was 7 and I ain't made no attempts to do nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's like it kind of make you not want to hear my argument no more. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, well, we was once taught, but we was taught that as a kid. Like you, how long have you not been a child? So where was any process of you trying to change that type of behavior? And if there has been none, then it's harder for a person to listen to your argument. It's like what I said with the privacy issue. Yes, I respect that we should have privacy issues, but how much can I listen to a person complain about their privacy that's on social media on a smartphone? Like, that you're giving up your privacy with those things.
But again, but that's not an all or nothing. Nothing is all or nothing. There's variables. We
ain't no question.
That.
But you don't have to be. But one way to protect it, you don't have to be on social media. You choose to.
No, you're right. You're right.
Let me jump in a little bit. I only had little, but it's almost all right. So you're absolutely right. Everyone has a choice to do certain stuff. But again, just like social media, there's people working at making it real convenient for you to spark up arguments and fights and take advantage and monetize.
But you know that, right?
Huh?
But you know that, right?
But I'm saying that. So I'm saying just as much as that is happening, the same thing goes for like every health concern. Same reason why there's a liquor store and McDonald's on every corner. Like there's a lot of people making sure, it's much easier. You know about it, but
it's a lot of people pushing a gay agenda, kid. But it ain't gonna make me start liking men.
I mean,
so I can't see, because then it starts sounding like
might be a few.
Listen. I know. Listen, it might be people that are definitely influenced by it, right?
You don't know. I mean, that's still up for debate. It's like,
listen. It very may well be working on some people, but what I'm saying is, like, I understand. You can talk to me all day long about there's liquor stores on the corner and they make it more convenient. But it ain't never made me an alcoholic, kid.
But I bet you if you driving somewhere and you got to say you're not taking flight somewhere, you're driving somewhere, ain't nothing but rest stops, and you got McDonald's, Wendy's, or whatever, and your ass shouldn't be eating there, but you're gonna stop there when you get hungry.
I mean, son, if you tell me if you tell me you don't eat pork, and then you give me a scenario like I'm stuck in the middle of the desert and there's one pork chop there, will I eat it? Of course I'm gonna eat it, kid.
Right,
I'm not gonna. But you know what? There's very limited times I'm gonna be in a realistic situation. There's very limited times I'm gonna be so starving and so hungry that the only thing I got to eat is Wendy's.
But the extremes don't have to be there. All it has to be is inconvenient. You know what I'm saying? For you to be like, I'll just do it today. I'll just do it today. It's not going to stop.
But listen to this though. But even if I did it that one day, because I'm driving down the Parkway, because I have done that. I have stopped at a fast food restaurant because it was the most convenient. But doing that is not the same as making fast food a part of my daily diet.
Nah, but I'm saying you're right. But what I'm saying is I'm making this one point. The privacy stuff and the social media is very much like the food industry just as a whole. Like, there ain't nothing, I said this to my wife before one time. Like, I was like, ain't nothing on the shelf, but almost in 90% of stuff in any grocery store, like 99% of the ingredients is in there. It's not because, it's necessarily healthy for you. It's because it's for the length of time, it'll let it last on the shelf.
Mass production.
You know what I'm saying? And it's everything, and that's the intent in putting it there. So I mean, when you realize that, I mean, even your basic, forget your basic fast food stops. I mean, go into your regular grocery store. You know what I'm saying? And then deal with it from there. So I mean, but your level of like education, understanding behind it, you got to take all that stuff into account. And then it's the work involved in even understanding it. Look at how we talk about the work involved. That's just trying to find out what the hell is the right thing to do around this COVID stuff. And then like, I got to figure out breakfast, lunch, and dinner too. You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, if I go and I go buy some vegetables and whatever else and just keep, raw stuff or whatever, I'll do it. But you know what I'm saying? So there's a process involved in it. So I'm not saying, so yes, we all know, but there's
some tough decisions for you to make, right?
Huh?
It's tough decisions to make, right?
Well,
I'm saying it's a little more gray than just whether it's an easy or difficult decision. I'm saying
do you think that you could eat more healthy if you put your mind to it, based on the knowledge you have right now?
And that's probably going to be the last answer for tonight. Once you answer this, Mike.
Everything could be healthy, but I make a point to eat like pretty healthy. As a point, like I go out of my way. I'm one of those people. Like I go out of my way to spend more and to go further to like find something as opposed to eating something. That now I don't do it 100% of the time, but I do it like a majority of the time.
Yeah, exactly, and that's my point. And my whole point is to show that you recognize something. You have an understanding of something, and now you're putting forth a concentrated effort to find a solution to that and to do better with that.
But
a lot of times you don't see that. And a lot of times
I also read 25, 30 pages of the FDA like stuff submitted for Pfizer, but everybody's not going to do that, nor does everybody even he
I understand that.
To do it for themselves. You know what I'm saying?
But the bottom line is, Dan, listen. If I understand you 100% right. Everybody's not going to read everything, but everybody will complain about everything. So my thing is try to balance out your complaints with your actual efforts to do something, because like you just say, balance it out then. You know what I mean? Because if you're talking about eating healthy, Dev talks about how many times, even before we got deep into COVID, how many Dad talked about elderberry and all of these different things that help build immunity. He just mentioned it again today. This ain't the first time you hear me talk about things that can build our immunity. So let's remove the sensitive part of the COVID and the vaccine out of this equation. Just here alone, you've heard that many, many times about whether it's high blood pressure, diabetes, things that affect our community. It's now, is the behavior in our community going to change? And is the individual behavior of the person's going to change to make a concentrated effort to eat healthy? Or is he going to complain about the chemicals in the food all day long?
Okay. Well, time out. We just made our 5-minute wind down. So now I got to ask you guys a question. Are we down, or are we going to give ourselves another 5 or 10 minutes to fully shut it down? And I had to ask, because this is one of those times we've talked about this, where the conversation is really, there's some things that we still got to get off our chest. You know what I mean? And I don't have a problem with either way, but I'd rather
Charles out there trying to push buttons.
Yeah, Charles, Charles is playing. So are we going to?
I said what I had to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we good. Now we can wind it down.
So what we doing?
Personal accountability, kid. I'm big on that.
I mean, man, hold on. So make me say still pushing buttons, man. It's like you had to say the last word in there.
Because what Charles does and what he's done very effectively is he's bringing it like it's a soft landing, but the reality was you was really keeping the ocean on one side of the whole thing. Like, you know what I mean? Nah, keep the ocean all the way over here. We're like, dude, like, nah.
Because then you're gonna maybe get into like the communities, the color, like and you come on, how long ago?
You know what I know?
Harlem to get a Whole Foods in the center of it or something like that, huh? What about that?
I know that people don't like, and I ain't talking about vaccines and all of that. I'm talking about human behavior, man. A lot of people don't like accountability. A lot of people don't like the be put in the repercussions of their actions, man, and that's just the reality of it, kid. And I'm not correlating that to vaccine or unvaccinated. I'm just calling about in life, kid. Like, yo, listen, I'm telling you, this is what you could do to be healthy. And then, like Tracy's comment is, it's a personal choice and decision.
Oh, wait, hold up, time out. So, damn it, you're gonna make me go back into like the vaccine stuff again now. So like,
because I ain't correlating that to the vaccine.
Because you say it's like a personal choice, right? Now, if I'm saying
yes, it is.
All right, Charles, Dev, now we do need 5 minutes more. Hold on. So now you're saying it's like, now it's a given. And now let's use, for example, communities of color and stuff like that. Now it's a given, and we, you know, everybody's been in and around and lived, and you know, like certain things is not accessible. So yes, you could jump on a bus, drive up into the suburbs, and go to like a certain health food store, maybe get something organic or whatever. All right, but one, do you got the money for that? Two, can you do that while you got kids at home and gotta get like, so yeah, so that's like saying the vaccine thing. Like, yeah, it's a choice, but can you realistically do it and put, you know, and combine with whatever you got to do with your day-to-day life? Or can you run down to the corner and get a 2-liter bottle of soda and, you know what I'm saying? Or McDonald's for the night, you know, like, maybe that's an exaggeration, but it's much easier to eat
bad instead of good.
Technically, yeah. Yes.
Yeah, but I think that might be a problem even in the suburbs. You know, I don't think that's just an inner city thing.
I mean,
it might be lesser, but it's not just an inner city thing.
It's going to definitely be different. It's going to be, I mean, because it's going to
because all through the city they got health food stores. They got juice bars, health food store, whole food stores. They got that all through the city.
You know, but again, I firmly believe I believe that, you know,
that's about 5 minutes.
No. I didn't want to even cut in too hard. I just want to say that, in my opinion, when these companies started losing money, when they started seeing that people was eating a little bit better, some people were giving up, doing simple things like maybe giving up pork or chicken or pork and beef, you know, started moving a little bit more. And then, you know, you see these slogans like, you know, your medicine is your food. I don't know, man. I don't know. And I'm gonna put this comment up right here because this is, you know, I think it's worthy of
saying. Actually just put up that he says we still have Jolo's around, and Jolo's that I've eaten at many a times, but still I think it's still the only like vegetarian restaurant that's all in, like either Lower Westchester or Westchester as a whole or something like that. You know what I mean?
But you know something? That we'd have more of those restaurants if people were to commit to more of the lifestyle. You know, and that's just all it boils down to. Like, you know, and again, you know, to personal choice and stuff like that, I'll never not respect what I see with people as far as what I see. What I mean, like when I was younger, I thought when people were overweight, I just only thought they ate everything. I'm like, yo, they ate too much, they're overweight. I didn't know anything about the other things that could possibly be going on in people's systems to make them be overweight. You know, so I'm saying that to say, like, all of those variables need to be considered. But I like what one of you guys said earlier, and it was even chimed up in here a little while ago, where it was like, just do what you can, just incrementally, just to have a better, healthier lifestyle. It doesn't mean that you have to change everything overnight. It starts with small steps. And the reason I was preaching it at the time was because, you know, I had some issues with my back and other things I never had before. And for the first time ever, I had gained weight that I never had. I didn't even know I could gain weight like that. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gaining all this weight. And I had to work it off. But it was also a humbling experience for me because even though like I had learned a lot over the last 20, 30 years, it was humbling for me just to be reminded like, yo, like keep anybody pretty much all of our health is very delicate. Like let's treat our health like a gym. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Nobody I know wants to die, and nobody I know, you know, personally wants to get COVID or any of that stuff. So it's like, how can we work together without shooting each other down? When I see this word right here, stressful, he wrote this all got confusing because people were thrust into thinking about health and reacting to a stressful situation. Those who were already on it slid through it. Nobody here got sick even a little bit. We're doing something right. Okay, so check this out. There's a lot of things that I think everybody in this world should have learned something about based on what just took place in this whole world. And if people are still not being pushed or focused on their health, meaning when I see what's happening with our country, there's other countries right now that are giving their citizens vitamin C, giving their citizens vitamin D, ginger, giving just stuff just to naturally boost their immunities. It doesn't mean it's to fight COVID per se. It's like, nah, we're gonna boost our immunities. You know what I mean? We're gonna help people just to get healthy and have a healthier lifestyle. And I just think that that's the best thing at this point. Like, everybody, please, like, just try to find a healthier you, whatever that is, a healthier you. You know what I'm saying? Like, one of the things I did was I switched up how I drank juice and soda, because I still drink soda. I mean, some people don't drink soda.
Man. Go ahead there, sorry.
I still drink soda. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, what I started doing was, during the day, I said, until 5 o'clock, I'm drinking water. I don't care. And I hated it sometimes. I'm out to lunch, man. I want to, give me a little root beer with my pizza. I'm like, But it was a small sacrifice for me to know that just incrementally I did something a little bit better than I was doing it before. Exactly. And we got to push each other for better, or for something better. At UNC, and I don't want to start a brand new conversation, because no matter what, in 7 minutes, we out of here, yo. Because we are committed to our time slots. We are doing great. I got to give us back. But do you know, over last weekend, like
ain't no question, that high fructose corn syrup, Cad.
Oh man, that thing will
gotta stay away from that.
He's right. And
they only use, but you know what's crazy is they use that in Coke here, but they don't use it in Coke in other countries.
Because other countries have figured out some things. And their citizens also have figured out some things. And I was just gonna say, as far as the stress and everything, at UNC last weekend, like 2 or 3 students killed themselves. That's tragic. Yeah. That's mental health. And we used to always talk about that every show. Mental health, all of that stuff. Let's get through this thing. Let's just be better. Let's treat each other better. We got enough things out there to stress us already. Let's just be better, y'all. We have a better world, man. Stop cutting each other off. People, don't cut me off. I love you.
You're talking about conversation, you're talking about driving.
No, you're talking about in relationships.
Relationships.
I got cut off. I got cut off.
Yeah, I was telling Mike, I said, I saw the thing and I was like, yo, Dev, I saw Dev saying something. I said, yo, this, I got
cut off. I mean, and here's what's gangster. Y'all ever walk in, and this never happened to me, but let's all hypothetically say right now you walk into a store and then somebody goes, it was him. It was him. He just went into the register. You're like, I didn't go to the register. I just walked in the store. It was him. It was him. He went. That's how it felt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It felt like, yo, like, really? Like, I would never steal.
Yeah.
So why are you accusing me of stealing? And I have to get that stuff, like I said, I'm not going to get into it, but I had to give it back to the creator, because I'm like, I can't deal with it. I don't have it. And I said this year coming in, I was like, yo, I'm changing all of that. I'm going to have a more positive lifestyle. I'm going to keep my energy high. I know when we all talk, you know what I'm saying, keep the energy high, because this thing can play with your mind, man. And I mean that literally. That's for everybody watching. Stress and anxiety can mess you up. It can mess you up mentally. It can mess you up physically. And I don't want no parts of it. I want to manage my stress levels, and I want to manage my anxiety. Yep. And I'll be damned if I'm going to let people stress me out. True. I know now how some people be like, when people get stressed, they go, don't worry about it. You're not mad? Don't worry about it. They're not even willing to even take that energy. That's what I want to become, because I was one that I'm feisty. Like, oh, what? What'd you say? That I'm trying to get away from that. And if I do that, big bros, catch me like Dev.
Yo, sometimes all you got to do is just back away. That's why, the vaccines conversations were getting so crazy on my Facebook thing. And then I just was like, yo, you know what? Like, I'm not even responding to any post that's talking about that, because I didn't even want to, like, I just wanted to, like, I read some of it, whatever, and I just was like, yo, I don't even want to throw my opinion out there. I'll just read it and just, like, so I didn't like not read anything. I just stepped away from, like, for like a week or so, 2 weeks. I was like, yo, I'm just not gonna comment, man, and just like focus on just like, yo, at the end of the day, everybody got their own feelings towards it.
I didn't want to talk about it tonight. I didn't think we was gonna get into it tonight, but we kept it good though. We kept it.
Yeah, I mean, because it's almost impossible. Not, I mean, it's the hottest topic in the world, except if you're worrying about whether Kyrie's going to play with the Nets or not this season. I'm sure it's a hot topic right now too.
This is so. Listen, we only got 2 minutes, guys, to wind it down. I just want to say, I think we're gonna look back on some of our actions in like 10 years and just be like shaking our heads, man.
Yeah. But the only one quick thing with the NBA is I think that people are unfairly though conflating it, because I see a lot of posts comparing it to Magic Johnson. But this is not the NBA or the Nets doing this to Kyrie. This is the city of New York that's doing it.
Right.
Like, and that's what people are conflating. They like when I see people come on and they're like, yo, well, why was Magic allowed to play with HIV? Because the NBA allowed that. The NBA has not mandated vaccines to the players.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Again, that's people.
You know what I'm saying?
That's of a conversation.
But you see how that. But now
we got 1 minute.
Like that's people are saying the NBA, and it goes.
This past storm, man. It's 30-second sound bites, and now you know.
Gentlemen.
No. All right, we doing the wind down.
Wind down, and anything you want to say, like 15 seconds or less, because we getting up out of here like that 2 hour.
No, we good.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll post up. We need another topic that we're gonna come with. We're trying to have regular the next
Wednesday. Are we going on Wednesday next week?
Next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday at 8:30, right?
You want us to talk about, or whatever that might be. If there's something think of importance.
Okay.
Talk about vaccine, but so much. But all right, I guess we're gonna be signing now.
It'll be something.
So next Wednesday, make sure y'all come back and join us. We out of here in about 50 seconds. We're going. Like, we're gonna say
yes.
And that's right. Bye for now.
Bye for now. Have a good night.
Have a good night. Good night. Or bye if you're mad at somebody. I'm joking. Bye.
Don't go to bed mad, man.
Yeah, man. It's a happy night, man.
Nobody to block nobody now today.
Yeah. Well, yo, you know what?
Oh, shit.
Yo, block them if you have to.
For the peace of mind. Yeah, peace of mind.
Yo, I mean, that's better than attacking them.
Calls.
Right?
Blocking them is
better than attacking them.
Hey, gentlemen.
You can't. Yeah.
Have a good night, y'all.
Good night.
We up out of here.
Everybody. Sea la paz en las calles. ¿Me entiende?
Go. Peace.
Peace.